what happened with that, John? I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm just gonna shoot with you. I'm gonna shoot with everybody. Me and my dad don't get along.
Mm.
Me and my dad don't get along. My dad could care less about anybody but himself. And I mean, I'm just gonna tell you like it is. The man, he's self-centered. And I tell this is the analogy that I tell people. Someone wants to come along and say, one of you two's got to die. But I'm going to let you, Ivan, pick. Either you or your son's got to die. Without a doubt in my mind, do I not think that he would say, kill him? Me, on the other hand, if someone was to come to me and say, Scott, you are a Christian, one of you's got to die, I'd grab the gun, put it to my head, and pull the trigger myself.
Now, why is that with you and your father? Like,
I think because as a kid, I idolized him so much, and it was, this person. It goes back to the whole theme of, these people are bigger than life. These guys are bigger than life. And as I got older, I think what triggered it, he's always been like that. And I remember growing up as a kid, we had a gym at our house, and we worked out, and he had us working out. And his big thing was doing squats. He wanted everybody to have big legs. So his first question to us when we would talk on the phone, and that's basically how we communicated, was on the phone, because he was on the road 320 days a year. You doing your squats? That was the first thing that came out of his mouth. And I remember that. Never once did he ask me, how are you doing in school or this. Never once did my father. I was good in baseball. I was really good in baseball. My dad could care less for baseball. So, in high school, I ended up quitting, not playing baseball, but I never threw the baseball with my father. I never threw the football with my father. And as a kid, I idolized him so much. I wanted to be like him. And then when I grew up and I was like him, I don't say I didn't like myself, because I did like myself, because I was a different person. But what triggered all this was, I think, my dad would come over to my house, and he would sit there when my son was born. And he wouldn't really spend a whole lot of time, with us. As he'd come and leave, and he wouldn't want to stay. My mom would want to stay for weeks if she could. He'd come for a day or two and be gone. But one day my son came up to me and he said, "Daddy, why doesn't Grandpa love me?" I said, "What? What are you talking about, Christian?" This is what triggered it. He said, "He doesn't play with me like everybody else does." And I looked at my father, and I see him, and he's sitting on the couch watching football. And this light goes on in my head and goes, you know what? He's been like that his whole life. He's been like that his whole life. It's give me, give me, give me. Whenever you're not done, when you're done, then he's done with you. And it's his loss, because he didn't really get to know my son. He didn't really get to know me or my brothers. I mean, I think he spends more time, and I don't have a real relationship with him. I mean, we talk every now and then, or if we see someone, because of my mom. But it's something that I, to this day, it's like, his wrestling side is okay. I mean, I'll play that game. I'll play that game with people, and because that's what they want to hear. That's what everybody wants to hear. You're the side, but it's the whole bullshit wrestling deal. Mm-hmm. But what it comes down to is we don't talk. I don't talk to him, and I'm done. I've basically just said I'm done, because I look back, and his life and my life were never on the same page. I was basically a show pony for him. I meet people, and they were like, "Damn, man, I thought you were like 6'9" and 350 pounds," the way he described you. As good as I look, people would still, guys would say, "Man, I thought you were, like this monster, like Godzilla or something." And I'd be like, "No, this is it, man." I mean, this is it. But then it was totally different when he was with us. It was just like, it goes back to my son. Why doesn't Grandpa love? That's basically the way it was. It's when we were kids. So, it is what it is, and life goes on, and we all pay the piper for our good deeds and our bad deeds. But I would have had a better career in wrestling if I wouldn't have been Ivan Putski. So I honestly believe that.
Interesting. You never truly know the real background, if you will, of you figure
Mm-hmm.
you're in the business, he was in the business. You never truly know, what's going on behind the scenes or the relationship of the father and son. Sometimes, obviously, it's not as perfect as people think or as people tend to want to think as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted his approval. I wanted his love. And to wrestle and do what he did, or play football and do whatever it was, I did it because I wanted his love. Now I do what I do because I want my son's love. I mean, I changed his diapers when he was a kid. I quit wrestling. I've given up a lot. I've given up a whole lot. I've had opportunities to do a lot of things. I didn't do them because I had a family, and that was more important to me than stardom or anything. And that goes again, and this is something my father taught me, and I can't take that away from him. He told me always when I first started. He always told me, he said, just remember this. Besides the they can only feel it. They can only see it. They can't feel it. But he also told me, he said, just remember this. When you start to believe your gimmick, you're dead. You're done. And you start to believe you're actually that person, you're done. And you know what the sad part about this, John? He believed his fucking gimmick. He believed that's who he was. But he told me not to. I honestly believe that. And that was the best thing he could have said to me because I didn't. And I didn't become vain like that. I didn't become, this, bigger than thou, I'm better than you type person.
Almost sounds like maybe he kind of realizes it a little bit about himself, and he didn't want you to kind of turn out like he did. Almost kind of has that.
And that can be, that is a possibility.
Yeah.
That is a possibility. And he, I would hope that is true. I can only hope it's true. And it's like I told my mom. I said, Mom, the day Dad comes to me, I mean, we have a rift. We have there's a wall between us. And I said, the day he comes to me and he apologizes. I mean, that's all he's got to do is just come to me and apologize. Come to me and apologize. But honestly, don't just come to me because you told him to come. I mean, he honestly comes to me and he realizes what he's done my whole life. And he comes to me, and I can tell it's a heartfelt apology. I'll forgive him on the second he says it. I mean, the second he said it, it would forgive him. Everything would be forgotten. And you know what she says?
What?
He won't do it because he doesn't think he's done anything wrong. I mean, as a man, you see that. You can see that. I mean, just me telling you this story, you can see. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
You have children.
Yes.
Okay, think of your son saying that to you, or at least your wife going to you and saying, this is how your son feels. And you looking back and you go, he's right. He's right. The difference between me and my dad is I crawled through shit for my son. He wouldn't crawl through nothing for me. He'd take. And like with the Brian Christopher thing and the Jerry Lawler deal, Vince came to us and said, what do y'all want to do? And he's like, well, and he goes, we want to put Scott over, we're going to try to get him over and do this, yada, yada. And so, what they were really going to do is put the heat on Dad, and then we were going to, which would have made sense, right? I mean, back and forth. And he didn't want to do it. He just wanted, if you watch the match, he had came in for the end, really. That's it. That's all he came in for. I mean, he put himself over is what he did. And, I mean, you could see both sides were disgusted. Everybody was like, except for him. I mean, except for him.
And I guess that's kind of when Vince was like, we're not going to kind of
I believe so. I honestly
go forward.
So.
Kind of
he's
killed
still
it.
the same Ivan Putski. He's not going to change. He'll be hard to work with. That's honestly what I believe. But it goes back to it is what it is. I've had a blessed life. I'm grateful for everything that God has given me and continues to give me. And I'm moving, I keep moving. And I keep moving. And if my story helps anybody or my story, inspires anybody, then I'm happy. One person, it inspires one. If I can help one person, I'm happy.